Hello everyone, and welcome back. It has been a hot minute since I have recorded a little something for this channel, but I'm about to start a new job that involves some editing, and I'm dusting off the Adobe wheels in my brain to get them flowing again. And yeah, we're gonna do a Captain America Brave New World review to get me back in the groove of editing a little bit, and just because I seen it last night on the opening day, and it was something. So we're gonna talk about it. My thoughts before going in was kind of putting it in my brain somewhere around like Thor Love and Thunder, like it'll be passable but not great. And not to jump the gun, that is a little bit where I did end up, although I did think it was better than I anticipated. So this is just gonna be one of my good old-timey film brain word vomit rants about it. First off, let's start the story by saying I went yesterday, and it was Valentine's Day, and it was a snowstorm here in Wisconsin. We haven't had many in the last 2 years, which is very weird if you know Wisconsin. And of course we got one yesterday. I went with Adrian. It's Adrian's birthday on Valentine's Day, and we were going to do other stuff, but we postponed that because of the snowstorm, so we decided to go to the latest showing our theater had, which was 9:30. And it was just at the tail end of the storm, and wow, I thought we left like 30 minutes early, and I was still scared. We got there during the second of the trailers rolling. We actually made Adrian watch the original Fantastic Four 2 weeks ago for the first time, because she didn't even know what it was. And I was really excited about it. I was, you know, giggling and kicking my feet like a little child. I'm very excited for that movie. I will have my phone here for notes. I also have been keeping very detailed Letterboxd reviews since December of last year, so I'll leave my Letterboxd down below if anyone is interested in giving me a follow there. I have all my movie reviews in depth. My initial thoughts coming out of this film, as we sat through the credits and then walked out through the lobby and into the snowstorm out to my car, and we were like doing that initial processing, was a weirder one, and it was that, I'm just going to read myself directly here. I came to the conclusion that I thought the plot and writing of the movie were surprisingly up to par. It was paced well and had a good narrative flow. My issues came down to the acting and shooting the self of scenes, which I agree with still. I think the narrative flow of this film is actually pretty solid, which is something I think Marvel's been struggling with a little bit in recent years as a very passionate Marvel fan. I thought the actual storytelling parts of this movie were great. The story was very solid, and it felt kind of one of those early era Marvel films. It felt actually, to me, relatively on par with the narrative pacing and themes of the Captain America franchise, including the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, which I personally actually didn't like. It is in my bottom 3 of the Disney Plus shows that have been released so far. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't hate it by any means, but I don't love it. It's definitely in the bottom tier of the show. The things that I struggled with here in this film were the characters. The side characters were just so, I don't want to say unlikable, but almost unlikable, and I felt like them using Samuel Stearns as the main villain here really was a waste of that character, which I know that's a thing that we talk about a lot in the Marvel community, of how Marvel has this nasty habit of using these like really big characters from the comics as like really like throwaways that we'll never see again. And obviously the leader isn't, I wouldn't say a extremely popular Marvel villain, but he's definitely like one I know about, being someone who reads specific characters quite in depth, but you know, very general comics. This makeup and CGI, I'm assuming it's mostly practicals for what they did. I kind of hated him. And he had a lot of voice VO, you know, instead of direct lines in the first half of the film, and they felt mixed poorly. I don't know if it's going to stay that way, but if you've seen it in theaters, please let me know. I felt like the mixing of all of the phone calls, which there were a lot in this movie, they felt very unbalanced with the soundtrack of the rest of the film, which Marvel is usually fantastic at. Like the fighting scenes in this, there's a lot of plane action and like sky fighting in the front half of the film, and those are always mixed so well. So the way that Marvel has been struggling recently to balance out like phone conversations in their mix, their sound mix, is actually baffling to me, something that I can't quite figure out what they're doing wrong, but it just sounds like this layer that's existing on top of the rest of the audio and the like thematic music in the film. And I've noticed it in a couple of their films actually recently. I didn't even have this in my notes. It's something that's just coming out as I'm talking about it, but I did notice that multiple times throughout the film itself. And one of the things that I came out most notably from this film thinking was that I am loving Sam. as Captain America. I didn't have reserves for him being him. Like I said, I didn't like the Disney Plus show nearly as much as I wanted to, so seeing him in this movie, I think Anthony Mackie's acting was phenomenal in this film. I think it's his movie, so it should be this way, but he carried his weight in this film. I really, really enjoyed him, and I see the potential now more than I did in the Disney Plus show for him moving forward as Captain America, which I think is very important. Another thing in that exact same playing field is that Joaquin coming in as the new Falcon. I really enjoy Joaquin. I think that he is being played beautifully by this character. He has this wonderful sense of being grounded in reality and kind of like reacting with that levity that we need from a character, while also maintaining that comic relief role in the plot itself. And I don't think he's overly comedic, which I think is so important. I think I don't even know if it's the way he's being I think it's the way he's being played, Danny Ramirez. I think he's playing him really well, where he feels almost the most lived in and grounded character in the whole movie. So I'm really enjoying the new Falcon. I hope we get to see him evolve. I thought he had the worst costume. I know it's kind of just like a reinvention of one of the older Falcon suits, but I actually don't like it. I think it is quite ugly in comparison to how everything else in this film looked, besides the leader, who looked horrible. The rest of the suits and costuming in the film was really good, so I thought his very like drab, like old style, like military, like deep greens, it didn't vibe with me, not a fan. I was also expecting to see, based on some screenshots floating around online, that I was going to hate the visor on Sam's helmet, but I love the new Falcon suit. Like, I genuinely think it's phenomenal. At one point in the movie, Adrian I heard her next to me being, like, saying out loud, like, the suit looks really good, and I noted that in my brain as she said it, because I was also thinking, like, the suit looks really good. The Wakandan tech being implemented in the suit, near the end of the film, there is a impact, let's just say, and it looks really solid. Another issue I had with the film is that in the last 40 minutes is when a lot of the plot starts falling apart. A lot of the characters feel throwaway. I'll get back to that on another person in a moment. But just it doesn't feel wrapped up as well, and you start to be able to pick through the cracks if you're experienced in watching and tearing apart films of like where the reshoots are. And obviously this film was kind of notorious for the amounts of rewrites and reshoots it had to do, and the mess that happened. The boycotts at points, that's the thing we'll get back to. But I've seen everyone saying this, but there is like just bad green screening in the end of the major fight of the movie, which I don't know how Marvel of all things got away with. Like, it's probably the worst green screening we've seen in all of Marvel. It's quite bad. It's horrible, especially like on the big screen where you can see every detail. Like, you can so clearly see all the shots where it's turned back on Sam and everything behind him is a green screen. It's like, oh my god, it was distracting. It pulls you out of the moment quite aggressively. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I mean, that had to be from the reshoots. They can't have wanted it to look like that. And then, yeah, pulling back to the massive elephant in the room, Sabra is just such an incredibly pointless character in this film. Like, not only is it horrible to the state of the world right now, just so bad. She just looks so out of place, and she's not like, I was already biased, but you can't tell me she was a good actor in this. She felt blocky and unincorporated into the main story plots, which I believe they removed large portions of her story because of the outcry and the world politics happening right now. But she just felt so unincorporated, and I don't know much about her in the comics because I tried to just stay away from it entirely. What I have seen is horrible. But like the incorporation with the widows, but then never coming back to it, and she's a very short actress, and she's not framed well in the movie at all, and she like gets a costume briefly, but like it's not explained whatsoever, and her connection to Thaddeus is also like not explained at all. This ties back to Hulk, were actually like really surprising to me, because I think a lot of people went into this film expecting it to be that continuation of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but obviously it was very, very clearly more of a Hulk continuation without Hulk, which that was another thing that Marvel is doing so many cameos right now that you kind of know what you're going to get into. I was almost thinking we were going to get something from maybe just Bruce. I was, spoiler for the next 10 seconds, I'm very excited to see that we actually got that little tiny Betty cameo at the end, which I thought was really cool to, because a lot of people don't really think of Hulk as still being like that movie being massively canon, but Marvel's been doing so much to retroactively bring things in right now with things like Deadpool and Wolverine. And of course, that comes down to the Daredevil stuff right now, because Daredevil it's always been canon, but they're finding these ways to working it into the script now. And I really do think we're going to be getting Jessica Jones back as well within the next year or two, in my personal opinion, based on the massive success of the fandom when it comes to things like Daredevil Born Again happening in 16 days? Oh my god, so soon. I have a countdown on my wall right here. But yeah, I was really thrilled just seeing all of that, those tie-ins. But I will come back to that in my closing notes, I think. The political overtones of the film itself were definitely the highlight of the whole film. Overall, like breaking the film down, the front 30 to 45 minutes, really solid. I enjoyed it a lot. The middle even, I was still like quite in it and enjoying it. By the end is where this movie falls apart. And also, they're just not characters and plots that resonate with me a ton to begin with, so I can't rank this movie absurdly high. I will say my final score was a 6 out of 10, which it's really middle of the pack to bordering on the low end as far as the Marvel films go to me, but yeah, it was what it was. After thinking about it, and I had to add this, and I'm just going to read it right word for word off of here, because I've said some of it out loud already, but this says it more succinctly, I think. Edit. Had to come back and add just one more thing. Marvel has been pretty damn decent about keeping the movies friendly to people who haven't seen everything. But being a person who has seen everything and knows comics, even I can see that this film is quite unfriendly if you're not a massive nerd. Which comes with a whole different set of critiques, being rated whether you are a nerd or whether you are a casual audience member. But the person I went with has seen 95% of the Marvel movies, Adrian, and about half of the shows. She hasn't quite seen all of them, but she's seen a good number of them, including the movie that this is based on. But she knows nothing about the comics. She was quite, love you Adrian, lost throughout the film. I heard multiple like small chatterings in my ear throughout the whole film of like, what is going on? Who is this person? What the fuck is going on? Because they used weird characters for this one. We got in the car and I just heard more of like, it was a good film, but objectively good, but I was lost throughout. So pulls from a lot of specific media, a lot of which just so happens to be media that is underperforming for Marvel or that are just less than stellar projects, such as Eternals being a massive plot point in this film, Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I don't personally like. I know it's kind of a mixed review one as far as the wider fandom, and of course the fact it is basically a sequel to Hulk 2008, which a lot of people haven't seen. I'd say it's probably one of the least watched of the canon Marvel timeline, you know? Like, I've seen it a dozen times, obviously, because I'm me, but to the wider audience and to the casual viewer or even the like casual enjoyer but not super nerd, a lot of people haven't seen Hulk, which is very important to this film. A lot of people had that same reaction of that random congressperson who was like, since when are they red? Yeah, because if you don't know the comics, why is Red Hulk here now? What's going on? Same with Scar, or Skahar, whatever you want to pronounce his name as. Like, I like She-Hulk. I personally like She-Hulk a lot. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with this Skahar thing. It's okay, Marvel, you keep doing you right now, right? But the only other thing I haven't mentioned yet is that I am genuinely really happy about the amount of screen time that Isaiah ended up getting in this film. I didn't see that coming at all. I only watched one trailer for this film. I don't know if he's in any of the other ones. I try to stay pretty clear with Marvel, but I didn't know he was even going to be in this, and I was pleasantly surprised to see not only how much screen time he got, but like how relevant he was to the plot, and also paying homage to that character, because he's not a huge part of the comics, but he is a part of it. And then also I thought that was a really good way of showing, that black solidarity and, justifying his character and also the treatment of people in that universe. However, with that being said, with how much he did end up being a player by 20-30 minutes into the film, in the back of my head, as a massive Young Avengers fan, I have past videos on my channel if you want to know how into the Young Avengers fandom I am, I was expecting the whole film to get some name drop or 2-second cameo or brief mention of Eli, which we didn't get at all, like a Patriot mention. Even with the jokes about him needing a suit, and it, referencing like him needing an actual suit, but then it's just his wedding suit that he wears. In my head, I was like, I wonder if this is going to lead up to a Patriot payoff. But of course, it was just the wedding suit mini gag that they did. Which, you know, fine that he's not in there, but Marvel's been fucking with the introduction of slowly rolling out the Young Avengers for so long, and obviously they fucked over Teddy as Hulkling, which obviously isn't related to Hulk, I'm aware. But they fucked over, like, introducing Teddy for so long now that the fact that we have introduced Patriot, who gets fucked over in the comics as far as appearances go, I was surprised they didn't drop an Easter egg there based on how much Young Avengers stuff we've been slowly seeding for so long now. So yeah, that is my brain dump. I hope you've enjoyed this cozy brain dump with me in my cozy new little setting. I won't be here too much longer. I have 5 more months on this lease, and I know I haven't filmed anything in like 10 months. But yeah, maybe I'll do a couple more in this cute little setup before I move. My whole room looks like this, by the way. It's very cute. This is very much my aesthetic, and I am in love with it. Anyways, yeah, this last part of the video is just gonna be me giving a little vloggy update. So this last portion, you can leave if you don't care, but I'm gonna keep chatting. I did go to Salem in October. I could do a Salem vlog for next year, or maybe I'll wait till closer to the holidays to do something like that. I am planning to do a road trip this fall for my next travel plans, because you know I talk about that a lot here too. And that I'm currently planning to go to the UP in Michigan. So I think I do want to like really vlog that, because it's going to be like an actual proper road trip, which I've never done. I've done a lot of European travels, and I did California and I did Massachusetts, but I have not done a road trip like ever, especially by myself. I've never done one in general, and I've really never done one by myself. So that's a plan for later on in a couple months as well. I do have wisdom teeth surgery and possibly Invisalign braces coming up. So I am scared about that. Maybe if something goes horribly wrong there, maybe I'll make a little vlog about that, because obviously I did that when I had all my ear problems when I was in Scotland. So that could be a fun vlog as well. Oh yeah, that's the big thing, I guess. I graduated. I'm no longer in school. Wild. I'm waiting to start a job. A really cool job, actually. I'm doing kind of my dream of working in a museum in a limited capacity, so we're gonna see if I enjoy it. But currently, right now in my brain, it's a dream, so hopefully I enjoy it. Yeah, I think that's mostly it. I'm super into 911 right now, the TV show, as well as Grey's Anatomy. So if anyone else is super obsessed with those, you can hit me up and talk to me about it. If Buddy goes canon in the next 2 months, maybe I'll come back and talk about Buddy. If that's something anyone wants, I could definitely make that happen as well, because that's right up my alley to talk about later this year. And I am buzzing with excitement for Daredevil, like unbridled passion excited. I don't know if you can see up here actually, but I have all my classic Daredevil Funko Pops, and I recently got the Reigning cover from, I think it's one of Mark Waid's comics up there. I'm a massive Daredevil fan. I'm very, very excited about that. I think that's all. I'll just let you guys get a fun little glimpse of my cool little setup here. I do see that this is falling, which is fun. I wonder if it's been that way the whole time. Probably. Anyways, thanks for stopping by. Have a lovely day.